and we are rolling. Hey everyone, Zach here with
Bobby
Martin in town. So everyone, we want to actually share with you how to use the scanning analysis app as well as the Healy app. Whether you're a beginner or you're wanting to start scanning people for the first time, we want to share some of our tips and strategies on how to best facilitate that for people. We were just sitting here with some of Bobby's friends, and he was talking about how he scans people. I was hearing how he was scanning people. I was sharing how I was scanning people, and it was a really nice mix. So I feel like us together, taking you through this step by step, will help you guys at home start scanning people more confidently and effortlessly with the Healy.
Yeah.
Sound good?
I've scanned over 100 people, and learned a lot of lessons on what works and what this scanning actually means, and going deep into the quantum physics behind it, and it's really good to understand. It's taken me a while to figure out how to simplify it enough to explain it effortlessly, but it's flowing. So
and so the key about it, guys, is to keep it really simple and to really listen to what the person's saying. You know, whether they're an athlete or a business person, they might not want to do the aura scan, but someone who might be into spirituality, yes, you're going to show them the aura scan. So really listening, feeling into their energy, and I like to personally do the scans outside. We did it outside this morning, but it could be indoors, outdoors, on a bus, in the back of a car, wherever you're doing a scan. There's no real places you can't do it.
Yep.
So what we'll do, I'll share my screen here and we'll get into this. And if you have any questions on scanning, guys, please put it in the comments below and we'd love to answer them for you later on. So, and the other thing to remember is that you will find your own way of doing this. There's no right way to do it. Nothing's perfect. And over time, you'll find that this will actually develop for you. I've scanned, over many, many people, nearly 200 people, and it's just developed over time. Any other little things before we get into it?
No, let's jump in.
Let's jump into it. So I usually show people the analysis app first, guys, and then go to the Healy app. And so I literally take people through it step by step. I'll say to them, I'll show them the phone. I'll say, hey, there's two apps. We're going to do the analysis first. I'm taking them through as though I'm holding their hand for the very first time. And I go, so we're going to start with the analysis, aura scan. And I go in and I literally show them, even handing it to them, click here, click there. And I kind of make a little joke. It scans animals and plants. So are you an animal or a plant? So that you can do pets and things like that. And then get them to put their details in. Now, some people don't like to put all their details in. So I usually just get them maybe put just their first name and maybe their initial. Depends on where you're at.
I also talk about the birth date and the different places. So I truly believe that they actually take upon different things of astrology and different other methodalities. So it can kind of bring that in to be able to deliver and to
more specificity.
Yeah.
So putting some details in here. Male or female does matter. The scans do change depending on male or female. Putting the birth date and the place in there. In terms of their street address, I personally don't do that just to save time. And if you're really saving time, you don't have to do the vibrate either. The vibrate is a setting where they hold it in their hand for a couple of seconds. This is how they do the vibrate. Oh gosh, connecting to the Bluetooth. And sometimes this happens through a scan. It happened before where I didn't turn the Healy on properly. And so now it's on. So usually sitting there and just holding space, asking some questions whenever this happens.
It could be a good thing. You can kind of draw out some more information, and then this is the biggest mission in to be able to deliver someone the information they need is to figure out what they want. So.
Yeah. So some good questions might be, how are you feeling right now? Have you got any health challenges you're focusing on? Could be, is there an area that needs some support in your life right now? What's going on for you? Well, what's your story? If you're just sitting down with them for the first time, hey, what's your story? Tell me a bit more about yourself. And then running the scan with the vibrate helps connect the Healy to the phone there. I don't always do this though. This is just if you want to be super thorough with someone, or if this is your Healy, I highly recommend doing that. But sometimes to save time, you can just run through. And then I usually always get their email. And so what I'll do is I'll make sure, I don't always get their phone number, but it's probably a good idea, especially if you want to follow them up. copy the email. I've just totally spelled that wrong.
Nearly dream. The Zach dream.
That's it, Zach Dream. And so copying that keeps it in the copied section, so then you can email them the client form. In terms of connecting them to the cloud, I personally just always go no for people. What do you usually do?
I always go yes.
You go yes?
Yeah.
And so whether you want to ask permission, it's up to you. Just to save, I try to ask less questions just to kind of confuse them the least, because sometimes it can be so much for them. Do you want to perform a scan? And then I go yes. And then I go back into the analysis. In terms of taking a photo, some people are a little bit iffy. Look at that. Is it us here? How cool is that? Some people are a little bit weird with taking photos. You know, the ladies today were a little bit like, oh, you know, so self-conscious. So what I usually do is I hold the phone, I flip the phone like this, and I turn it towards, there we go, towards them, so they can actually see themselves. So then I'm allowing them to see what they look like on the camera. Instead of, I find sometimes, just from experiences, like if someone held the camera up to me in my face, like this, it's going to be a little bit confronting, and I want to make sure people are really comfortable. So maybe that's a little tip you want to embody as well. Smile. Sweet. So there we go. What do you usually do here? What do you usually say to people?
Yeah, I say to them, it also does an aura scan. So yeah, give me your best smile, and then as this starts to scan your bioenergetic field, it is going to pick up every frequency. Every color has a certain frequency, and every color is represented in a chakra. So and all those colors together kind of make up our divine light. So if you have a spectrum of what white light is, it has everything, every color involved in it, every primary color. So I see them as little battery sources that we need to charge up every day. So I love
that. That was really interesting. You were saying that chakras are little battery packs throughout our body, and this shows the energy distribution or the charge in those energy packs. Oh, you can hear those motorbikes in the background. It's so loud here. Yeah. Hopefully we can edit that out. So that's a really good point. Yeah.
So it's all about getting yourself into your highest flow state, and then when you have that flow going through you, it is a form of faith. So yeah, this is the spiritual faith that I've kind of came up with, whereas I believe that we are all gods, and we are all generating energy, organized energy, and distributing energy. So as you start to open yourself up to bringing more love and less suffering and less blockages inside your energetic field, the more you can actually fill yourself up with love, and then obviously then you can reflect that on others. So
great representation. And so with this, guys, depending on how much time you have with someone, I usually go interpretations and then give them the phone to read. You know, they can have a flick through here to read more on how the actual app gives more of an analysis on the spiritual, emotional, some affirmations.
You are the river. That's the affirmations.
Oh, you are the river.
I am the river.
Lovely. I'm open to health, organizing information and energy flow. That's awesome. So depends on how much time you have with them. I usually just email this to them. So I go back to this screen on the right side. You can go flick backwards and forwards. And I go click that button, and then I paste their email into the email. So I go through, it will generate a PDF. Usually takes a little while. So I go like this.
Yeah, I usually ask them, would you like a PDF file with a detailed explanation of your present moment aura? And then everyone says, yeah, I'd love that. So because it can get quite personal when you get into the analyst scan.
Very personal, yeah.
And then just it's a good little follow-up to check how they're going. Did they read through it? Is there any questions? And then you can share some light with them and work with them. And then building a relationship in that way is crucial.
And so what I usually do with people there is adding it into a Gmail. And then you choose your email. I usually go Healy scan 1, you know, typing a little, you are awesome. And then I'll sometimes put our group, or sometimes the video, This is in the key text replacement in one of the units, and it will teach you how to do this, but it's putting in some of the information. You can also put, Zach and Bobby, and then your mobile number, depending if you want them to stay in touch with you in case they want to get connected. So then you just email, and that's a great way to follow them up another time too. So we'll go back. All right.
And you can save all that into one little shortcut, as in like Aura, and then
that's a good idea. Saving the text for the email in the actual
your template.
Yeah, that's a good one to do. I think you can also go into settings and put it in there too. I just haven't done that yet. So now what it's doing is I say to them, it's choosing the 3 lowest chakras. So you've got forehead, head, heart, and plexus. Oops. And we're going to go start analysis. And then I usually do all negative relevancies. And what that means, it's picking up on extra information in the field and then doing another scan and saying, this is now based on that energy distribution that just came up in the chakra scan. It's now creating an emotional scan based on the 13 years of research in Germany, around the country, around the world, in 40 countries of these 2,000 practitioners, that they've got a database and a web of information that holds on to
certain frequencies.
What this would mean. Yeah, what this would mean for you.
So the way I kind of explain it, I said, just how I'm talking to you and you're receiving my information through the frequencies of my voice into your ear. What Healy has done, they've able to be mapped, like these thoughts are physical things which they were able to attain the certain frequencies. So when it goes into the subconscious, or the superconscious, I like to call it, because it's the thing that's controlling us the most. So then it picks up things that you've been holding on to in your subconscious or your superconscious for a while, and they're picking up disharmony, so frequencies that aren't flowing correctly, and then with that information, it gets put into an algorithm. And I asked people, does this resonate with you at this moment in time?
So you get them to read it.
Yeah,
get them to read it and ask, does this resonate with you?
Awesome. Yeah, for sure.
That's great.
So,
and so a lot of these little symbols here, guys, I'm still figuring out myself. There is in the unit section a description on what some of these mean as well. But usually if someone asks you, like, what does this mean? What does that mean? If you don't know it, just say, I don't know, and I'm still learning. You know, don't try to make it up. And what I usually do is I hand them the phone now and I say, hey, just read the present state description. They read that. I said, does that make sense? Or does that mean anything to you?
That definitely makes sense with you right now.
Yeah, the person feels fear and uncertainty in relationships. They cannot get too close. Ooh, gee whiz. The decisions that and so usually I get them just to read a couple of them because I don't have a lot of time with a lot of people. Unless you want to sit with them for a full hour and a half and go through everything, I usually get them to read the first 2 or 3. Yeah. And then I usually go to actions, PDF. I'll email that to them again. If the email doesn't work, I might text it to them as well, or text it to myself and then text it to them later on. Sometimes there's a few little glitches with how it sends the report. I think that's really powerful. Only sometimes will I talk about the vibrate setting. It's a little bit too over people's heads as well as I'm still figuring it out. But I say to them, you can also do a vibrate setting from 1 second all the way up to 9 hours. And that's actually putting the gentle healing of the emotional scan back into your field to help the body be more receptive to healing. What do you usually say about that?
Yeah. So I say that disharmony that picks up in that analyst, it's going to personalize your own personal orchestra of high vibrational frequencies to be able to harmonize these disharmonized thoughts that are floating in your superconscious. So just like how a good, beautiful song makes you feel like in awe, so it's going to get yourself closer to that present moment. So the further we get away from the present moment, the further, the more of the dis-ease that happens, and the more of suffering actually lives.
So it's helping rewrite that.
Yeah.
It's kind of restructuring these energies in our field and
it happens really quick. I sometimes meditate with it on my crown chakra, listening through, and if you can get in a quiet room, you can actually hear it like changing these frequencies, like these tiny little sounds. But So there's two sides of healing. It's like you can get the healing, and then if you're not conscious of the healing, you're just going to go around your days like everything's normal. But if you sit and open up to these kind of frequencies, and channel your focus, you can really let that harmony come through you, and set you on a much more effortless pathway.
Nice. And if this doesn't make sense to you guys, then just say, just don't show it to people. So then what I do is after that, I go back to the middle, down the bottom, the squiggly line, and I go back up to the Healy resonance scan. So we'd go back in. What did we type in before? Then we go and find their name. We go across, and I say this is more of the physical scan, where it's also scanning for bark flower remedies, amino acids. I'm usually just reading it out bit by bit, because some people do understand them, some people don't understand them. If usually someone understands these, they're going to go, oh, really? It does that? If someone doesn't know what they are, I say, do you know what these are? And they say no. Then I kind of just skip over it. If someone's quite interested in these, I will explain it a bit more. And it will actually, for the bark flower remedies, it figures out what bark flower remedies your body needs in that moment, and then gives the frequency through the field back to the body to help the body self-heal. And so that's pretty much as I explain there. It'll figure out the amino acids that are out for the body and whatnot. So do you ever go through that with people?
Yeah, definitely. I go through them, and I just say, in nature, everything has a certain frequency. Every single chemical compound is made up of a certain frequency. So what they've been able to do is to attain the frequency in these scanning machines that they have, to be able to introduce that frequency into your body without even having to get the salts or to get the Alaskan gem elixirs. So you're able to feel that goodness just through the frequency, and it's definitely medicine for the soul.
Some people do feel it, some people don't. Most people don't. I personally don't, but some people are tuned in to feel it. Then what I do is I scroll to the bottom. I say these are all the other categories. There's 16 different categories, and we're going to scan for all the 16. So we click on the bottom one, click, and I get them to say, put your finger there, tap and hold, and that's going to scan for all the 16 categories that are most out of balance in the body.
So the fingerprint doesn't actually do anything. It just brings their present moment into this focus.
It's bringing me focusing right now. Like instead of having a chat or hugging someone, it's like getting me to focus, and that's where it's more accurate with how it reads you. Yeah,
definitely.
And so from there, I then say, these are the top 5 categories your body needs in this moment. So it's personal. And I say that 68%, so see, 68%, it's got bioenergetic balance programs too. And then 61% gold programs, 60% deep cycle. So I kind of just give them a walkthrough, and I say down here, the lowest one is 51%. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the 68%. And scan that to figure out which category, which frequency in that or program in that is best for you.
So
you ever add anything?
Just a recommendation. So instead of you trying to figure out what you think you need at this given moment, when it's the human body is such a complex machine, so this just does the work for you, and then you can start from there, and you can watch it evolve as you start to harmonize all these different levels of your mind, body, soul, and spirit, and then it starts to go. I find when people are really spiritual and have done a lot of work, it gets into the deep cycle programs. So,
you reckon?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I've been noticing little patterns there. And,
Interesting. And so from that, then you go back into the resonance scan. So you saw me, guys, Healy resonance. We're going to find their profile, click, and then go to the category that came up as the top one, or whichever category you want to choose. Bioenergetic balance programs 2, start. And then at this point, they also have to hold the Healy, right? Make sure that they're holding the Healy in their hand or on their lap or really close to them. And I get them to say, just to connect with themselves, delete any distractions around them, just to tune in to how they're feeling.
Get them to get into a calm breath and to relax that nervous system, and allow that goodness to come in.
And then it's going to bring up in that category the top 5 programs that are most needing support for the body. most out of balance. So liver function, gastrointestinal, sciatic pain. And usually at this point, they're going to be like, oh yeah, actually, I've just done a liver cleanse, or yeah, my gut isn't very good lately, or there is some sciatic stuff going on. And so this is a great opportunity for kind of tune in, ask some questions, what's going on for them. And here, you can also email that to them or get them to take a photo, or you can screenshot it and send it to them later as well. So that's pretty much that whole app, unless we were to show them. So once you do that, then I usually go to the other app. So anything else you want to say about the scanning?
No, yeah, that's
pretty much it. Yeah. And so then what usually happens from app to app, I usually notice that the Healy turns itself onto like standby mode or turns it off. So I click it back on again and I go back into the app.
So I also actually make sure I get rid of the analyst app. I close that
you
app.
Close it?
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
And so I usually, these are good little tips. And so I go into the app and I say, hey guys, so now what we're doing, so I'm just taking people step by step through the whole program. So now what we're doing, opening up the frequency app, and I hand this to them. Wow. There's lots of frequencies going on in the world right here. And so I go, okay, this is the gold cycle. There's learning, fitness, job, balance, mental, skin, meridians, chakras, protection. If you've got the digital nutrition, you can show them that as well. These are the different mixtures, and even the therapist program too, just to give people an overview, because I think sometimes people think there's going to be a couple of programs. People are quite amazed that there's like 120 different ones. So I say, for example, if we're in the gold program, we go, it might be energy, it might be balance, it might be pure, it might be release, relax. I'm actually kind of helping them realize that, this could help me with my relaxing, my energy, releasing tension out of my body. Usually having the description of the terms and what each program means is a good one to have with you. We have it laminated and handing that to them while they're looking at this to go, what does that mean? What does that mean? It's a great, or even the manual, the Healy manual is good. If you have local stimulation, a lot of the terms aren't in here. I think they change a lot of the terms because of compliance here in Australia. So you need to go to the Healy manual to actually get a more of a just better understanding on those. In terms of learning, I go memory, concentration, exam stress. I'm saying just a couple for each one to get them to think of, maybe it's them that need memory, or maybe they know someone who is studying for an exam, or they're not concentrating enough.
Crucial when we kind of ask them about where they're at in life. So then, depending on the time that you're sharing with them, you can actually kind of skip through some things. And like if they're a uni student, you can go straight into concentration. Or if they're somebody who's having emotional troubles, you can explain the emotional ones a bit more.
Yeah.
It's all about connection.
All about connection, and sharing with them how this can help them. What's in it for them? You can share what excites you, but more importantly, what is it about their life right now that the Healy could help them with? That's what you want to focus on. Mm-hmm. I usually say weight, muscles, gym programs. I say in here, job, positive thoughts, activation. Activation is like really helping me get really focused and really kind of, instead of having a coffee, have an activation. Balanced sleep. And I'm usually just flicking through them, mental balance, acute, skin, nails, elasticity, wounds, acne, bioenergetic. So I'm just kind of reading it through and giving them some ideas. And then once I do that, I go, okay, what was the one that came up for you? It was bioenergetic 2, and it was liver function. So then I say to them, look, it's really easy. Each program will tell you how to attach it to your body. If it's the wristbands, it will show you the wristbands. If it's the ear clips, it will be the ear clips. If it's the sticky pads, it's sticky pads. And so I just walk them through and say, then I actually put these on for them. So I'll put the wristbands on. I'll usually get some water in a cup, and I'll put a little bit of water just on their wrist here. And then I'll put the wristband over their wrist where the water is, because that helps the connectivity and helps them feel it a lot as well. And so then I go start. Do you say anything else here?
No, that's
pretty much it. And then what I say, I bring the Healy. I said, what's happening now is the phone is transferring the program frequencies onto the Healy. And once it's programmed, you can actually disconnect the Healy, so there's less or no Bluetooth, no EMF. A lot of people like to realize that there's no EMF. You don't have to have your phone connected all the time. And this is where you'd probably say, you know, they've got 144,000 frequencies in these 120 programs, and each program, like liver function, has about 400 different specific frequencies that have been scientifically proven through time waiver for the last 14 years to help with liver function. And so I then take them and I show them this step by step. This is a 52-minute program. The hertz right now is 354.1 hertz. Every 10 seconds, the Healy through the crystal picks up to see what's most out of balance for your body. So, and then it will go, do you need this frequency or this frequency, this frequency or this frequency for the first 20, 30 minutes. And then the last 20, 30 minutes is focusing just on the frequencies that your body needs. So then it's tailored in every moment.
This is the massive difference between Healy. The abilities that Healy has to personalize frequency. Nothing else in the market has the ability to do this at this wearable level. So
it's and that's what really sets it apart, is that quantum sensor. All right, and then in that you can make it less intense or more intense. And I usually don't go over 15% for them, and I say you're in complete control, and just choose to go up.
Some people can be very sensitive to energies, and especially with the ears.
I don't jack it up to 100%, and they're going to be like, oh my God. I don't want to make them uncomfortable. So I usually say, you're in control, you choose. And then they're kind of like, what do I do? And I was like, so what you do is you tap that plus symbol. What do you mean? Okay, just tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it. And then they go, ooh. And they go, I can't feel it. I said, we'll get to 100%. And then they get to 100%. And they're like, oh yeah, I do. And then I say, this is microcurrent. It's a millionth of an amp. It's super subtle, but these are specific frequencies that back in the 1900s, a lot of these companies were coming out with frequency therapy machines, and they were mapping specific frequencies to support the body's natural healing. And then the big pharmaceutical companies came in and shut them down and threatened them, and because they're a threat to these big companies. And now Time Waiver has now allowed us to bring this into a portable version where we can integrate frequency therapy into our home every day without a therapist, without a practitioner. And so just bringing in some of those key points, a bit of the history, a bit of the story of it. And then what do you do now?
Yeah, just want to make sure he hasn't got the cords on.
Oh, so no cords. It's going to be black.
So,
when you connect the cords, it will be white.
Yeah, and then the grey settings for the ears. But yeah, so I just say again, so it's personalizing your own. It's giving your own frequencies. So everybody is different, and everybody vibrates at a different level. So yeah, this is I like to express this to them, so it makes them feel like it is special. I mean, you're not just going for a generic frequency or a generic thing, because we're such dynamic human beings. So
it's important. And then they're going to have some questions. This is a great opportunity. If you don't know any of the questions, connect that person on a call or a chat with your sponsor or your accountability buddy to share their story. Always using, if you can go do a scan with someone, with a friend, that's also way more powerful as well, because you're going to have two different perspectives and more to share for the person. They're going to get a better experience. But if not, if it's by yourself, that's fine too. And anything that you don't know, you just say, I'm new, I'm learning, I'll find the answers for you, I'll connect you with someone in the team.
People love that kind of honesty, that it doesn't feel like you're trying to sell them anything. It's just like,
totally, this
is where I'm at. Being fully transparent is super key. Because they're not really buying the product, they're buying you. Even though the product will even no matter how mind-blowing it is, if they don't trust you, they're not gonna go forward into using it. Or they might, but they might go somewhere else.
It's a good point. And so the other thing I say to them, like, usually if I don't have much time, I'll usually give them 2 or 3 minutes with the wristbands just to feel it, just to get an experience. If you have more, sit with them the whole time. Up to you. Some people are charging $80, $100 for an hour with them for a full session. I personally just like to get through the whole demonstration, and I'm gauging their interest. If they're super interested and like, wow, this is really cool, can you see yourself using this at home? Like,
good leading question.
Getting them to see how they would use this, like, when would you use it? And they might ask you, how are you using it? So it's a great opportunity for you to share your story as well. But then I like to, for those who are quite interested, I'll usually take them to the mental balance acute. And so that one gives me an opportunity to give them the ear clips. What I recommend here is always dunk these in water. They need to be wet, and then I get them to put them on. They need to be moist. That's just my biggest tip. And it's always going to be gray when it comes up. So, and always giving it, the same thing, giving it to them and saying, you choose how much you want. This one's a 0.5 hertz, which is helping the brain balance out the hemispheres of the brain pretty much. I think we looked up the theta brainwave was like between 0.3 to 0.7. So this is helping the brain get into a theta, more balanced, more calm, like more restful state.
And it's really interesting as you start giving more and more people this mental balance acute, depending on where the personalities are at. I had a few guys come into my van a few weeks ago, and they were on drinking, obviously expressing very mentally unbalanced. And then he put it on and he was like, whoa, like I feel like I'm on a boat. And then a girl came past and she had a very calm nature and she was sober and she was presenting as a mentally barren person. She's like, yeah, it makes me a little dizzy. And then after the end of these 20 minutes, you're back in flow. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. And gosh, everyone's going to be different with it. You just don't know where someone's at. So yeah, just take it easy with them. And I usually say less is more. Less is more.
Yeah.
So that's how you hook that up, guys. That gives you a bit of a rundown of the analysis, how to go through that with the scan, the vibrate, then to choose one of these programs. I then say to them, so what questions do you have? Would you like some more information? And if they say yes, I add them into the group and I connect them on a chat with someone else to kind of share and help educate them. I also put them on my list and kind of, make sure I touch base with them in a couple of days to see how they're doing and to, see if they actually want to invest in one of these for themselves. So
Zach is a master of the follow-up. This is something that I've been learning a lot. And so
the fortune's in the follow-up, and most people are going to say no straight away, but majority, there's actually a massive proportion of people that might go, actually, yeah, I want this, like, let's do it. And they might go, I'll save up for it, or let's do it on the spot, or let's I'll think about it, I'll come back to you. So wherever someone's at, whether they're ready or whether they're just like, thanks for your time, just support them, just be there. You're not going to push them or don't convince anyone. Don't be like, so do you want one? Like, where's your credit card? Like, do you want one now? Just literally come at it from just a balanced place, no expectation. And, they'll get in touch with you sometimes if they're interested. So I think giving that space for people to marinate in this, because it's so new to people, they've never heard of it before. They're kind of like, oh, wow, cool. And then, they might see you again and you're using it on social media, or they see your post, or you might invite them to an event. And some people need, 10 exposures to this to say yes. So just realize that it's always about education, understanding. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
That's about it. That's good.
And then trickling down that information and keeping that relationship, just getting to the amount of numbers of connections that they feel comfortable and they trust you.
Yeah.
Some people have an open heart and they trust you straight away. It can actually be a good, maybe you could go back to the aura scan. If their heart is very low, you can tiptoe.
You could go back and test and say, hey, this is where it's at. Some of the big concerns that people get is they do the aura scan again and it's completely different. And so some people, there's a friend that did some oils, she's putting all frankincense over her, which is super high frequency oil, and then it was lower. And she's like, what's going on? And I said, well, depending on what we're focusing on in every moment, it can change what the energy is in our body. So it changes moment to moment, regardless of what's going on the outside sometimes. So,
and I've tested this. I've scanned myself like a good 30, 40 times in a row. And depending on where my focus was and where my energy was, I was figuring out, okay, these thoughts that I'm thinking now, like if you're starting thinking a thought of doubt, you're gonna drop in certain things as you start getting into more of a faithful
gratitude, love.
Yeah,
it's gonna change the scan.
What should go up? So
because I found that she was doing it out of like a ego of like, my oils are the best. These are gonna like change my frequency. These are amazing. And I think that changed. I think it was like a heart chakra and plex. I don't know. It was a few of these that came down. So. Yeah, guys, don't expect you to be an expert with this. Just be the messenger, answer their questions, direct them to the right information, and have fun.
Another thing that's kind of coming through is that, so these chakras are like your level of being present So we have this this common denominator in our world, and it's always going to be this kind of present moment. So if you are lost in the future or kind of anxious, you are getting further away from your fullest charge in this chakra. So if we're stuck in depression or in looking into the past, you're not actually being present. This is where the power of this presence is key. So the beauty of this device, it brings awareness to certain parts what you need to focus on. You need to send them love and good energy, and then they will start to charge up, because love is the fuel of everything, I think.
So that's a really good way to look at it. So interesting. Cool. If you guys have any questions, please comment below, tag your teams, and even film yourself doing this and post it in the group. We'd love to see how you guys are demonstrating it. This is just one way. This is just how we're doing it. Maybe you're doing it in different, more exciting ways. So we'd love to hear from you. And there you go. Happy days. Thanks, everyone.
Ciao.